Hey you guys, welcome to Alex and Andy Live. We are broadcasting to you live from Shanghai, China. We are on the 40th floor of the Shanghai Daily building in Shanghai's Puxi, which is not currently under lockdown.
Yes, so Puxi, the area west of the Huangpu River that divides Shanghai in half, is not under lockdown. Pudong, the area on the east of the river, is currently under lockdown and has been since March 28th. The Pudong lockdown will continue until April 1st, at which point Pudong will end their lockdown and Puxi, the area we're in, will go into lockdown, which will last 4 days until April 5th.
Right, and you can see on the map at the moment, I put a little map up there, you can see the white line running down the middle is Shanghai's Huangpu River, which literally cuts the city in half. So as Alex said, currently the green part of the map is Pudong, which means east of the Huangpu River is under full lockdown. So those guys there are not able to leave home, go to work, or anything of the sort. And then as soon as we get to April 1, 3 in the morning, this side of Shanghai will switch to lockdown, which is Puxi, and that will last till April 5th. You can see now a live view of Shanghai, which is really quite remarkable because we are obviously again coming to you from Puxi. So the buildings you can see in the foreground there are actually in Puxi where we are now, which is not under lockdown. And then in the distance, you can see the Shanghai Tower, Shanghai's famous skyline in Lujiazui, which is a very important financial hub.
Right, so Lujiazui, the 3 tall buildings that you see, I have more than 3 in that area, but you can see those tall buildings off in the distance. Those are on the other side of the river as we're facing east from this viewpoint. Now that area is the financial hub of the city of Shanghai and really the financial hub, one of the main financial hubs of the country. And so that area is currently under lockdown and no one there is allowed to move around and the buildings are closed, except for the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The stockbrokers were called into their offices onto the floor of the exchange on a Tuesday night, the night that the city locked down. And they will be sleeping there in their offices just to make sure that the stock exchange is able to continue to operate as normal.
Right, it's super important. Now, just quickly, some stats, because the latest figures out of Shanghai are not looking good. The numbers are still climbing despite the lockdown. So we had 5,556 new asymptomatic cases yesterday reported here in Shanghai, plus 326 symptomatic cases. Now, as you know, anyone who's found to be positive with COVID-19 in Shanghai, whether it's symptomatic or asymptomatic, is required to go into central quarantine. If they're symptomatic, they'll head to a medical facility. If they're asymptomatic, they'll head to a larger area, which is where our workmate Emma went to.
Right. So most of the cases, the majority of the cases that come out or that came out yesterday, came out, for example, the symptomatic cases were found amongst the people that were previously asymptomatic. It's a very small percentage of the cases are found out in the city that aren't people that are already in quarantine or were already deemed to be a close contact previously.
Right, so I think we will have the situation under control and we'll see from these lockdowns, any changes that happen will be quite slow because obviously COVID-19 has a bit of a lag. It can be up to 2 weeks. So even though these numbers are climbing still, it's not necessarily a bad sign or a sign that the lockdown isn't working, but we are crossing our fingers.
Right. So we hope to see progress and a reduction in the number of cases in the city each day once the lockdown sort of takes effect, once that lag kicks in, because right now we are continuing to see the numbers rise, albeit slowly, but they are rising.
Right. And now I want to show you guys a video I did about 2 years ago. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Alex.
Nope, I haven't.
Back in 2020, because this is the first time Shanghai's actually had an official lockdown. Right. But back in 2020, when COVID first started, you'll remember, the streets were also really, really empty. Right. It was like a lockdown. It was, quite scary, but we were obviously allowed to go out, use public transport and such. So I did a bit of a video, biking video, around the streets, and really you've just got to see it to see it. So let's have a look, and when we come back, we'll have a chat with a doctor, I think.
Yep.
Let's go.
这个城市的繁华与喧嚣，似乎在一夜之间 戛然而止。正午的街道，空旷的，如同科幻片里未完成的特效场景，熟悉而又陌生。但我们都知道，这空场背后的忍耐和坚守，凝聚和付出，直待乌云散去。2400万缕阳光会再次渲染出那个最魔幻的镜头。魔都即将回归。
So we can see in that video, at that time, again, as Andy said before, this is 22 years ago when the pandemic first broke out. Now, at that time, there were no forced lockdowns for people that were not positive or a close contact of COVID positive people.
Right.
But you can see that at that time, many people stayed in their house proactively. People were afraid of the virus and they wanted to make sure to try and curb the spread of coronavirus as best they could. And so despite the fact that there was no forced lockdown at that time citywide or in any district of the city, people stayed home proactively. And if you look here at this image on the screen, you can see off in the distance, as we mentioned before, are the buildings in Lujiazui in the financial hub area of Pudong district. But you see that road on the right side of your screen there, that is Yan'an Elevated Road, which, you know, if you look at it right now, it'll be 7:13 on a what is today?
Wednesday.
7:13 on a Wednesday evening. Normally that road is jam-packed with people and the traffic moves at a snail's pace. But because even though Puxi, this area that we're in, is not under lockdown at the moment, people are staying in their house proactively, and you can see that there's little to no traffic on that road. And it looks very similar to what it did in your video a couple of years ago, doesn't it?
Exactly. I think it's important to note also that the current lockdown, even though it's only half the city, is the first time in the whole COVID-19 pandemic that the city has been locked down in this way, as Alex just mentioned. I think it is partly to do with Chinese culture, I think, with a collective attitude as opposed to individualist. So people here are much more willing to do their part for the greater good, and they don't tend to, I mean, this is a generalization, they don't tend to think of just the individual, which I think is part of the reason why East Asia in general has done such a good job, relatively speaking, in terms of COVID.
That's true. The COVID numbers in China and in other countries in East Asia, but in China in particular, have been very low up to this point. Now, as we mentioned before, we are seeing a little bit of an uptick, which is why the city is in sort of phased lockdown at this point. But the number today is nearly 6,000 new cases, including both symptomatic and asymptomatic cases in the city of Shanghai, which is a high so far during the pandemic. It's the highest number that we've seen in Shanghai on a daily basis, but it actually is much, much lower than you see in many other places worldwide.
Right, a lot of people will say it's only 6,000 cases, only 6,000 cases.
True.
But in a country where the aim is zero COVID, 6,000 is quite unacceptable.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think one of the big strategies and the reasons why China has continued to adhere to the zero COVID policy is because of the average age of the population. The elderly population here is very high in number, and so they need to be protected from it.
Right. And speaking of health, I think we're going to chat with Dr. Li, who is over at
He's at Hemujia Hospital. He is the head of the ER, the emergency room at Hemujia Hospital. Dr. Li Xiaoguang is here with us. And so let's talk to Dr. Li. Dr. Li, hey, how are you doing today? How is it over there at the hospital?
Yeah, hi, how are you? Well, actually, we are not so busy over the last couple of days, since you know that many people are not going out, so we don't see many people suffer from traffic accidents. There's not many people who suffer from food poisoning because they don't go to a restaurant anymore.
Right.
I wanted to ask, if we're under lockdown and we find we have an emergency, a medical emergency, are we allowed to leave home, and what would the process be if we need to go to hospital?
Well, yes, for sure. If you have a medical emergency, you need to call 120. That's the pre-hospital care ambulance number you need to know. If you cannot get reached to 120, you can either call 110, and you can contact your property manager to help you to mobilize possible resources to get you out of your compound and send you to the hospital. You know, the emergency department are 24 hours, 7 days open. So we are always functional to accept any possible emergencies.
True. So that's great. So we need to make sure that we seek medical attention whenever we first notice it. I want to sort of emphasize that point that you just made. You know, I think maybe some people, they might ignore a medical problem, or they might kind of just say, oh, well, we're under lockdown, and they might ignore if they feel some sort of medical issue coming on. What would you say to those people? And I suppose you would encourage them to make sure they seek medical care even if there is a lockdown?
Well, first of all, I think you should have a plan about your own health. You know about your body, and you should get ready for any possible problems that you will face during this lockdown. My suggestion would be you should contact your primary care physician first before all this lockdown started, and you should get your medications ready, especially for those important healthcare problems, for example, diabetes or hypertension. You need to make sure that you got all these medications ready. And when you have some medical conditions you think that seem to be quite bad. For example, if you have some really strong pain, if you feel some chest pain, if you feel like some part of the body is not functioning well, you should think about this could be a medical emergency. You need to immediately take immediate action to try to go to the hospital. Of course, sometimes people are not quite sure about what is happening. It'll be good if you can just simply call our emergency department and get some brief consultation from our nurse or our physicians to get some ideas if you need to come to the hospital right now.
Well, and before you made an interesting point, which was that because all the roads are closed down currently, you're not seeing some of the major emergencies you'll usually see in there, for example, traffic accidents. So I was wondering, during the COVID lockdowns, are you still going to have a full staff, or will you have some people staying at home, some nurses and doctors staying at home during the lockdown?
Well, luckily, right now, the local government has a policy to issue a special certificate for our medical care providers, so can let them come from their compounds, drive their own cars to reach to the hospital. So I don't think that's a major problem, unless you are close contact to some confirmed cases. That'll be a different story. So right now we are lucky that we got almost all our manpower in place. Some staff or even just try to stay in the hospital, try to avoid any possible inconvenience between his or her home and the hospital. So I don't think people should worry about the manpower here in the hospital now.
All right, Dr. Li, we really want to thank you very much for your hard work during this trying time for everybody. And we wish you and everyone else the best of health, physically and mentally, as you guys help out the people of the city. We want to thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right, thank you, Doctor.
Right, that was really interesting. We have a video actually that was prepared earlier with an interview with Dr. Li. So I'll put that on now, and then, I've got to find it. And then we'll have a chat about some more medical issues to do with the lockdown.
So there are different medical issues, as Dr. Li mentioned. Some different medical situations will be reduced because people aren't out on the streets. He mentioned that there will be fewer traffic accidents.
Has been
Also, fewer cases of food poisoning because people aren't going out to restaurants. Obviously, it's less likely that you'll get food poisoning from food that you made yourself. And so,
well, hopefully,
right? Yeah. But and so he made some interesting points. But we know that the doctors in the city and the nurses and all of the medical care workers are really working hard. So we've got some more things to talk about on that front. But first, we do have a video. Dr. Lee is telling us a little bit about what's going on where at his hospital.
Right, and I want to remind you guys, we are coming to you live, so there may be a few glitches, a few problems. We apologize. Just bear with us. We're trying to do our very best. But here we go. Let's watch the video with Dr. Lee, and we'll come right back.
You may know that our department has been open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Even in this difficult time, we are still try our best to keep this place open. You may know that some of our staff has been affected by the recent outbreak of COVID-19, and some of the staff has been quarantined in the compound. But the hospital and department level has tried the best to mobilize more resources, more manpower. Some staff even sleep in the hospital to try their best to keep this place open. I don't think there's any concern for our capabilities to handle the daily emergencies. I think it's important for you to understand yourself. Many people has many medical conditions. They know better than the other people what is going on with themselves. For example, if you have some chest discomfort, it could come from some minor conditions like acid reflux, could come from like a muscle sprain, but it may come from something more serious like a heart attack. This is a life-threatening situation, and you have to consider to come to the emergency department as soon as possible. So you have to call the ambulance, call the 120. Sometimes you need to call the 110 if 120 cannot respond. You can contact your property manager. You can contact your company. You can even contact our hospital, see which way is the fast way to bring you to the hospital to get immediate medical attention. The other things, some bad injuries. We have seen quite a few patients coming in with a really bad injury. They are cleaning their house, a bottle of glass is broken, have a deep cut, they cannot stop the bleeding. They have to come to the hospital immediately. We'll help you to stop the bleeding, help you to suture the wound. Sometimes you are bitten by a stray or cat or dog. That's also a medical emergency. This dog may carry rabies virus. You have to come to the hospital to have a proper wound management. The other things like serious dizziness, you don't feel like the balance. It could come from the central nervous system problem. If you have really don't feel really comfortable, like you feel high temperature, that you feel that your body is not functioning really well, that's also indication to come to the hospital. It's neither a proper evaluation about yourself, about your condition. I hope that in this difficult time, I don't want to see people delay their proper management if they have medical emergencies. They have to make their quick decisions and come to a proper medical care facilities to receive the emergent medical care.
Well, Dr. Lee is right. Make sure that if you have any sort of medical issue during this time, you can call the hospital for consultation, but don't hesitate. If you do need to actually make a trip to the emergency room, ambulances are still running,
right,
and the doctors and nurses at the emergency rooms, at many emergency rooms and hospitals around the city, including Hemujia, which is an international hospital located here in Shanghai. Make sure that you seek the medical attention that you need, and don't avoid doing that just because we're under lockdown, phased lockdown.
But it is still important to note that you can't just leave home if you need to head to hospital,
right,
or if you've got a problem. Like Dr. Lee said, you need to call 120. If you don't have luck there, call 110, because you're going to need to wait for the proper kind of transportation or permission to leave for the hospital, which I'm sure will happen pretty quickly. But as Alex said, if you've got chest pains, any abnormal issues, don't hesitate to get in touch with those guys. It's very important to look after your health even during the lockdown.
Now, the other important thing that we haven't mentioned yet is don't call the ambulance if you've got a minor issue, if you've sprained your ankle, or if you have, any minor injury or small problem, right? Only because it's tough for them to get out and get to everybody right now. So we don't want to overload the system that's already under strain. Just make sure that you're seeking medical attention for serious issues.
Exactly. Now, if you've just tuned in, you're watching Alex and Andy live from Shanghai, Puxi, the area of Shanghai that is currently not under lockdown. We are coming to you live from the 40th floor. Let me show you the view because it's really quite nice. This is right by our desk. You're looking now at a live view of Shanghai in China. Obviously, the view at the foreground buildings are Puxi, which is the area we're in now. Then you can see the famous skyline off in the distance, Pudong, which is completely under lockdown at present.
That's right. So in Pudong, all public transportation is suspended. All residential buildings are closed. Residents have to stay inside their houses. That lockdown began on Tuesday, March the 28th, 2 days ago, and will continue until April 1st on Friday, at which point at 3 a.m., Puxi, this area of the city that we're in, which is the more central area of the city and contains there are more residents here than over there in Pudong.
Right.
Puxi area will lock down and the Pudong lockdown will end. And then we here in Puxi will be under lockdown for 4 days after that until April 5th.
Right, Alex explained it very clearly, but if you're more of a visual person, the map is on the screen now. So Pudong River East is the green part, which is currently under lockdown. Puxi River West, the blue part where we are, is currently not under lockdown, and that will switch on April the 1st.
That's correct.
Right. I think we're going to stick with the medical theme, shall we?
So another issue that a lot of people have been asking about, and some people have actually experienced in real time in their lives, is not just the emergency rooms, but what about the maternity wards? There are a lot of pregnant women in the city, and the city as large as Shanghai, you're going to have a little bit of everything, aren't you? And so what do pregnant women do if they're expected to deliver or if they're in the late stages of their pregnancy during the lockdown period?
Exactly. And it's not just a physical thing. Obviously, if you've got a baby that's ready to pop out,
right,
that's one thing. But also being under lockdown, being in a different or a weird situation can lead to a bit of stress, mental stress, which also isn't good for a pregnant mother. So we talked to a doctor at the maternity ward, also at Helmujia, the same hospital that Dr. Lee is at. They're open as well to help any expectant mothers who are getting ready to deliver their babies. And so we talked to her, and so we've got a video of her telling us a little bit about what's happening over there. Let's bring it up.
7th, when we got a notice that Pudong Puxi will be locked down at a separate time, we try to contact the patients whose due date is recent in the next 10 days and try to find out how we can help them. If they live in Pudong, for example, then we'll try to get them to Puxi so that they will be close to their delivery, the hospital. And also our mental health department is able to help with pregnant women particular and their family to relieve their anxiety if they have any. Then imagine that under the lockdown, there will be a lot of stress due to the lockdown, due to not able to get their appointments in time, or even not able to, the fear that they are not able to get the medical care that when they need it. So that our staff have been contacting either on WeChat or phone, and our mental health is able to provide online consultation that if they need any. So we are still fighting with the virus, although it is still too soon to say that we'll live with the virus forever from now on. But I hope that the day will come that we'll be able to fight against the virus and we'll be living as normal as before.
Wow, so it's good to know that there are obviously there were things in place for pregnant women, but it's really comforting to see that. Not that it has any effect on me. Do you have kids, Alex?
I don't. Not yet. Maybe in the future at some point. But hopefully we won't be in lockdown anymore at that point.
It's not going to be a 9-month thing, that's for sure. We're crossing our fingers.
More than that, but anyway.
Okay, anyway, I won't go into that.
Anyway.
Now we have a question. Can you read the question somebody asked?
This one, as I said, what's the official policy now for children testing positive?
That's a tricky one. They asked if they'll be separated from their parents. Now, of course, children testing positive will need to go to central quarantine. There's no doubt about that. But whether or not they will be separated from their parents or their parents can go with them or they'll have a separate place, we are not sure of the answer right now, but we will.
We'll investigate the answer to that question and tune in tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a more precise and accurate answer for you. We don't want to say the wrong thing, so we'll wait and make sure that we have the most accurate information on that front, and we'll get back to you.
Exactly. But there are some things we do know and we can tell you. Under lockdown, there are a few rules and stipulations. Obviously, you can't leave home, you can't go to work. Public transportation will be completely closed down. But if you have a special reason, obviously before we said medical issues and you need to go to hospital, go through the official channels, dial 120. And of course, if you're a volunteer, you will have a special notice where you'll be allowed to leave, but you already know all that.
Right. The essential workers in the city, and that includes doctors, nurses, ambulance drivers, and even some delivery drivers, they have a special pass, and that allows them to move around in the city while it's under lockdown. So there are people, essential workers, that help, the daily necessities of the people go on as normal, even in the currently locked down Pudong area, who are out and about because they have a special certificate of permission that allows them to do that.
Right, and like Alex said, that will include technically food delivery drivers and supermarket delivery. But like we said yesterday, that's not something I'm really going to rely on. So I actually got everything I need today. And it's going to loosen up or, leave some space for other deliveries to take place. If you're in Puxi, obviously Pudong's already locked down. If you're in Puxi, do head out today or tomorrow and get your supplies. Tomorrow is the last full day before lockdown.
Lockdown begins in Puxi. Of course, most of us, for those people who are currently located here in Shanghai that are watching, the majority of us probably live in Puxi because, as we mentioned before, the population of Puxi is significantly greater than that in the currently locked down Pudong area. But regardless of that, make sure to get all of the necessities that you'll need for the next 4 days in order and in place. That includes obviously food, and if you have pets, obviously get enough pet food and everything like that, and just enough supplies to get you through to ford the river until we can get to the other side.
Right. Sorry, that is a big one. Pets, which we're also looking into. A lot of people have been asking what's going to happen if you test positive, you need to leave home, and you've got pets at home that need to be fed. That is not something we have the full answer to at the moment, and we don't want to come to you with a partial answer, so we'll hold off. But don't worry, we do know you're waiting to hear. But speaking of food, a lot of food has been delivered to Shanghai from other parts of China, including Yunnan, which is a province down south, which Shanghai has had a close relationship with in the poverty alleviation drive. So a lot of Shanghai companies and also the Shanghai government have done quite a lot to raise funds and also, buy products from the Yunnan area. And now when Shanghai is in need, some people from Yunnan are also doing their part to help us, which is really touching to see.
Right. Of course, Shanghai's, the people of Shanghai have helped out the people in the, on average, poorer Yunnan area. It's a rural mountainous area near the Burmese border down in southwestern China. And now that they are doing fairly well as far as the COVID pandemic is concerned, and Shanghai is having a little bit of a rough patch right now.
Right.
You could say that. People of Yunnan are returning the favor. Now, to put this into perspective, the distance between Yunnan and Shanghai is quite great. It's about 2,715 kilometers, give or take, which is to get from here to there or from there to here, which if you're familiar with the geography of the United States, it's similar from New York City to Denver, Colorado, which is basically spanning at least 2/3 of the distance east and west longitudinally of the country. So it's a long way from here to there. It's not like it's right next door, that's for sure.
Right, and as you can see on the screen now, I've pulled up the Shanghai Daily website, which is shine.cn, and there's a story here actually on the food delivery that has come from Yunnan. It says here, fresh meat, fruit, and vegetables from all corners of China are arriving in Shanghai to ensure local supplies amidst the staggered COVID-19 lockdown. So, like I said before, it's really quite touching. Here we are. Oh, this is Pu'er. Is that the place with the tea?
It's the place that's famous for its awesome tea. Have you ever had Pu'er tea?
Obviously, yes.
Of course. It's fantastic. If you haven't had Pu'er tea, I give it a strong recommend, especially during the winter months. It's great.
Yeah,
but that notwithstanding.
But also, you can see vegetables. So you see the picture on the screen now on shine.cn.
I've been to Sichuan.
I want to go back to Yunnan. It's a beautiful place. I studied in Kunming.
Oh, yeah?
And that was for a summer. So we didn't have much time off, but I did manage to go to Dali.
Yes, I've been there as well. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the country.
It's beautiful. And I really want to get traveling again after this situation is over. But yeah, here's some of the fruit and vegetables. And we do have a video as well, which I think we're just going to play directly from the Shine website because there's no speaking. So I'll just play it as we watch, or not. So I'll leave that playing, but obviously, as you can see, Our internet connection here isn't the best, but we do what we can during this live.
We do what we can. But anyway, in the video, obviously, it's there's your captions right there. So it's people traveling from the faraway Yunnan area, which again, I said, is over 2,700 kilometers away from the city. And they're traveling here to help us out as we go through lockdown to make sure that we have enough food and enough supplies. And we appreciate them returning the favor for the relief that Shanghai offered them in the past.
Right. Oh, here. Oh, no, that's not a video. Sorry.
And then also there's an area in Sichuan province is also in that same area, a little bit closer, about 2,000 kilometers, give or take, about from Berlin to Rome, more or less.
How do you know this stuff? Oh, you have notes. Okay.
So, so yeah. And so Sichuan is an area that's often hard hit by earthquakes and natural disasters of that type. And so Shanghai in the past has offered relief efforts to them, and they're also helping us out.
Right, it's really awesome. And I'm pretty sure they would be helping us now, even if we hadn't helped them before.
Right, well, yes, that's not, yes.
But, you know.
We're very thankful.
We're very thankful. It's awesome. So, again, this is the Shine website, shine.cn, and it is completely in English. So, if you are in Shanghai and you're part of the international community, even if you're not a native English speaker, chances are, if you can't speak Mandarin, English will be a lot easier for you. So, do head along to our website there. And as you can see, there's a lot of new updates relating to the COVID situation, which is at the forefront of everyone's minds at the moment here in Shanghai.
And if you're a WeChat user, you can also check us out on our WeChat official platform and our video channel, Shine, SHINE, or Shanghai Ribao in Chinese.
Right. And you may be watching right now on our YouTube page, which is Shanghai Daily, I think.
It is.
It is.
Correct.
And our Twitter, which is @Shanghai Daily. You may also be watching on my personal Twitter @AndyBX66. If you're not, give me a follow.
Right.
Let's take a look at this map again, because I want to discuss this lockdown because, again, for people who aren't in Shanghai, it may be quite a confusing situation that half of the city is locked down. This isn't something we've seen before in China.
Right.
Do you want to talk us through the map again?
Right. Again, so on the eastern side of the river, that white line that divides the city right down in two is actually a river. It's called the Huangpu River, and it divides the city of Shanghai into two nearly equal halves, equal more or less geographically in terms of land area, not in terms of population, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the green area is called Pudong. Of course, Dong in Chinese means east. Pu refers to Huangpu, or the Huangpu River. So the area east of the river is referred to as Pudong, and then the area west of the river is referred to as Puxi, because Xi means west.
Right.
All right. So the Pudong area in green is currently under lockdown. That lockdown began on Tuesday, March the 28th, and will continue until Friday, April the 1st. At which time it'll switch. Pudong will be lockdown will end, and then Puxi will enter lockdown, which is where we are now. We live in the Puxi area.
Right.
And so we're not under lockdown. We're currently at the Shanghai Daily HQ right now. But during that time, we as well will be locked down too.
Exactly. But we will still be bringing you, hopefully, a live show every day at around the same time.
Right.
But I just want to go over the numbers because the numbers in Shanghai are still climbing on a daily basis. So the latest numbers, 5,656 asymptomatic cases, 326 symptomatic cases. But as I said before, don't be too disheartened because the effects of the lockdown are still yet to be seen because COVID-19 has a lag. It can take up to 14 days. So we will, touch wood, start to see the numbers coming down in the next few days, especially in terms of Puxi being locked down, as Alex said before. The vast majority of people living in Shanghai live in Puxi. So I think my math isn't good. 18 million?
It's something to the effect of about 2/3, give or take, maybe a little bit, maybe 70% live in Puxi, whereas maybe only about 30% live in Pudong. Though my numbers aren't exactly accurate, please forgive me.
Don't quote us on that.
More or less. And so currently the majority of Shanghai's residents are not yet under lockdown, but that will change here the day after tomorrow at 3 a.m. On Friday, April the 1st.
Right. So that is the latest. At the moment, we are considering. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
We're going to look at a airport shuttle bus. What's the situation with that?
So here's the deal. So of course, there are two major international airports in Shanghai. One of them is located here in Puxi. That would be Hongqiao International Airport.
Right.
But the larger international airport is in Pudong, as it's called Pudong International Airport. It is in Pudong, the area that's currently under lockdown. But the airport is still operating as normal. Of course, international and domestic flights are much fewer in number than they normally are, or they were pre-pandemic. But those flights that are actually still in operation are still in operation despite the district-wide lockdown in Pudong. Now, of course, that raises the question: if all of the streets are closed, all the buildings are closed, if you have a flight out of Pudong Airport, you can't get over the bridge, but you can't get over by ferry, you can't cross the river into the currently locked down Pudong district. So how do you get to the airport?
And that's what we're going to find out. Right. But I do want to mention really quickly before that, Shanghai has the longest metro system in the world now, 802 kilometers. That has been cut in half. And obviously, as Alex said, for example, Line 2 goes from Hongqiao, well, actually a bit back from Hongqiao Airport, all the way to Pudong Airport, which is about 60 kilometers.
Yeah, it's a long way.
It's a long way. So,
but right now, you can't traverse across or underneath the river, as it were, for the subway, right? So all of the subway lines that cross from Puxi into Pudong are currently stopped. So you can take Line 2, which is the line that Andy mentioned, which is the most commonly used line with the highest ridership in the city. You can take it from Hongqiao Airport right downtown to the middle of the city where the river is, but you can't cross that river currently. And of course, after the lockdown switches, Puxi goes into lockdown and Pudong is released. The exact opposite will be true.
Right, so it's a very unique situation. But without further ado, let's take a quick look at how people are getting to the airport if they need to right now under the Shanghai staggered lockdown.
Started a great screening for the recent COVID-19 outbreak in city. Pudong International Airport is still operating. Puxi passengers in need to get to the airport can take the airport line 1, 2, 4, 5, 9, as well as the late night bus. Also, the line 7 has been shortened to between Longyang Road and the airport. Now we are at terminal station of line 2. Normally, this line connects the Hotel Equatorial near Jing'an Temple and the airport. But for now, it has moved here since the March 20th, as the hotel has been used as a quarantine site. Right now, as we were told, the first bus of the line 2 starts from 5 in the morning, and the second one leaves at 6:30. After that, buses run every 3 hours. Passengers should show their health code, their flight tickets.
From the Netherlands. We came here in January 2020.
Yeah.
That is when the whole situation with COVID started.
Okay.
Then we had the first lockdown, but the first lockdown was nothing compared to what we've been through this past few weeks. So we are now finally going back to the Netherlands, and very sad to leave Shanghai because it's a wonderful place. China is a wonderful place, but the situation now is really a nightmare for people to get out. Hopefully we'll get the plane tonight. But it has been a very stressful period, and I'm hoping all the people that want to go out are able to go out, because of course the lockdown in Pudong and Puxi is not completely synchronized. So I'm praying for those people and hoping for those people that they can come up to the other side.
Where did you know the information about?
We read a lot about Shine.
Shine.
Yes, yes. Yeah, most of the information was from there, and then of course through people in the compound, through the consulate, through the Dutch group as well, but mainly a lot of information on Shine as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All the best.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We are now at the start station of the Airport Line 5. The first bus of the line starts from 5 in the morning, and after that, buses run every 2 hours. There are several requirements. Negative report, flight tickets, and ID card will be checked before getting on the bus.
All right, so it's good to see that people who want to go to the airport and who need to take flights are still able to do that. Many of the Shanghai Pudong Airport bus lines, the shuttle buses, are still in operation. And that's good to see because, we need to be able to have our airport operating at least as close to normal as possible during this time as well.
It was really interesting to see that woman there from the Netherlands. She said she came in 2020, so she's been here. I mean, I wonder if she came for travel or what?
Not sure. I wonder.
And she's been here for 2 years. I don't think you could have chosen a better place to stay for 2 years, and it's sad to see you go. But I'm also really happy that she found a lot of information on the Shine website,
Absolutely.
which I'm going to bring up again because I'm really proud of it. We do have such a lot of up-to-date information in English on the Shine website, which obviously if you're in Shanghai now and you're facing lockdown and not sure what you need to do, what you can do, what you can't do, this is really very useful information.
Right. Make sure to go to shine.cn, shine.cn, check out for the latest news on what's happening in Shanghai, always in English. And then you can also go to our WeChat official platform and to also check that out on your mobile phone.
Right. I'm trying to find the... Oh, here it is. Here we go. We can move. Because I did want to talk to you really quickly before we chat with our reporter about that story about someone rowing their boat up the Suzhou Creek.
So I saw the story briefly, see if you can find it. So apparently there was a man who decided that it was a good time during lockdown to get in a kayak and paddle his way up Suzhou Creek. And that is not a good idea. Don't do that. But it was determined that he was not coming from the lockdown Pudong area and that he was from Puxi. I don't know what possessed him to do that, though. That's right. Something that I wouldn't do under normal under normal conditions, but especially not right now.
I can't find the story, but the funny thing was, he was kayaking up the Suzhou Creek, and a lot of people suspected that maybe he had escaped quarantine.
Right, that he was trying to
get on the other side.
Yeah.
But it turns out the police caught up with him anyway because you do need permission to kayak up the Suzhou Creek.
Yeah.
Apparently, which I didn't know, and I live on the Suzhou Creek, so it's interesting. But that is one of the funny stories. It's not just all doom and gloom on the Shine website. We do have a lot of interesting and fun stories as well, and some touching, heartwarming stories. So if you're stuck at home or not knowing what to do check it out.
Right, and of course, COVID-19 and the current uptick in COVID cases here in the city is the main topic that we've all been discussing as of late. But even on the Shine website, even now during this current phase lockdown, you'll be able to find content about other things that are happening in the city, be they cultural, be whatever it is, that are not always related. So if you've had your fill of COVID stuff, and I know that a lot of you probably have, we've been talking about it for
a long time.
Yeah, for quite a long time now. If you've had enough of that, you can go to our website or our official platform on WeChat and check out some of our other content as well.
Right, and don't forget to fire your questions away. I do have some questions that have come in from YouTube. Kevin James says, hello team Shanghai Daily, watching from New Zealand. That is really awesome. Thank you for watching, Kevin, my home country. Also, Morris Bushrow.
That's my dad.
That's your dad.
Yep.
He said hello from Florida.
Hey,
USA.
Dad.
Alex and Eddie. Hello, Morris. Maurice,
yeah.
Sorry. Thanks for watching. That's really awesome. But I do want to come back really quickly because this story I just found is interesting. On Shine, again, supermarket chain outlets fined for overcharging delivery fees.
Oh, right. Yes. We heard about this recently. Obviously, food is in high demand, and so delivery is also in high demand. And some supermarkets were found to have been maliciously inflating the prices of different goods,
right?
Foodstuffs. And so that is something that we don't want to see happen. They were reported and they were fined.
Which is good, I think. And we saw yesterday, the authorities are keeping a close eye on this stuff. If you see anything yourself that looks a bit untoward in a supermarket, or you feel you've been overcharged or anything like that, do call 12345, which is the official helpline, which will put you in touch with someone who can officially rectify many of your problems you may encounter in life. And they do have different languages, so that's really helpful.
I do see another comment here on our WeChat channel, and someone's asking, what if your visa is about to expire? So currently, the visa office is allowing for extensions if your visa does expire during lockdown. As far as I understand it, and I could be wrong about this, but there was recently a positive case in or around that office as well. And so right now, they know that it's difficult to get your visa sorted out right now, but they are being more lenient in terms of the lockdown. So basically, if your visa is set to expire when you're under lockdown, make sure to get all of your documents and all of your papers in order. Contact the people that are helping you out with that you need to contact. Make sure to have all your affairs in order for when the lockdown ends, and then you can, at your first opportunity, go to that office and get it sorted out. But you should not be punished you won't be punished for if your visa expires during the lockdown period, right? Can't expect you to escape lockdown for that purpose.
Hey, I have a funny story. When I was studying my master's, we finished a bit later than expected, and I thought I didn't need to do anything to my visa.
Right.
So I just left it. I was like, I'm here studying, so whatever. When I went to the airport, I had to have an interview with a big security guy and tell him why I had overstayed and why I shouldn't be fined and why I shouldn't have a record. So that was really scary.
Right. I had a similar situation during my first year in China. I was not here in China. I was in a different province. But so what happens is, of course, as you know, at that time, you get a 30-day visa. Right? And then
you switch.
During that 30 days, you can use that visa to enter China. Many of you know this. And then you switch to your residence permit and your working permit. And at that time, the person that was in charge of that at the company that I was set to work for let it go to day 31. I guess she just put it on the back burner. And so it was myself and several of my new colleagues. We had to go in to do the similar sort of interview thing to explain why. And of course, it wasn't our fault. But the point here is, I think this is
keep an eye on it.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. Now, again, you won't be punished, fined, or kicked out, or anything like that if your visa expires whilst you're in quarantine, because there's nothing you can do about that. But make sure when your lockdown ends, or when sometimes a lockdown will end if there's been a close contact or a case in your building or in your compound. There's like a sort of a watching period, making sure that nothing breaks out, even after you're allowed to go outside. Whenever you have the opportunity to make it down there to the office, you will need to show proof of a negative COVID test to get in. But make sure you do that at first opportunity, because you don't want to be overstaying your visa in any way, shape, or form.
You don't want to be in front of a big burly man telling him your story.
Yeah.
But also, keep in mind, excuse me, what was I going to say? I forgot. Anyway, next. Let's bring up the map. This is the Shanghai map. Because it's a bit of a unique situation here, the city is split in half at the moment where the Huangpu River runs. And so currently the green area that you can see is the Pudong area, which is to the east of the river, currently completely shut down. And then from the 1st of April, the blue area where we are now, and in a moment I'll show you a live view, will be shut down. And then the other side, the green area, will open up. Now, this is a shot of which is obviously very beautiful. You can see the Pudong skyline in the distance there. It's all still lit up. So the lights turn on at 7 p.m. And it's a beautiful sight to behold. And you can see that it is still, despite being completely locked down, the Pudong skyline, the famous skyline that you can see there, is all completely lit up. And I'm sure there's probably people down on the bund taking photos.
Probably, I would assume. So actually, I did see a friend of mine who is, well, he's in Fuxi, so he's not under lockdown. So he's allowed to go up to the riverside and take some pretty nice shots with Blue Jiazui skyline in the background. Now, of course, 2 days from now, he and we will be in lockdown as well. Right, so.
We have a message that's coming from Sally, who says, thanks for the info, appreciate it. Thank you, Sally. And otherwise, anyone else, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to fire them through. As we said before, a couple of questions we don't have the answer for yet, but we will look into those, do some research, and get back to you ASAP. Now, we were going to switch to our reporter from the shuttle bus story, Zhu Yuting, but it looks like we may have to come back to her a bit later on. Okay. So should we watch a video about kidney dialysis?
All right, so kidney dialysis is not the most fantastic, fun topic, but it is a super important thing.
Yeah, and like Dr. Lee was saying before, this is one of the things that people really need to watch. Kidney dialysis, you got to do it every day.
Right,
if you need to do it.
Right, it's one of those emergency. We've talked about the emergency room. We talked about obviously the maternity wards. Kidney dialysis. If your kidneys have an issue and aren't functioning properly, you need to undergo kidney dialysis. Some people need it on a daily basis, or even multiple times daily.
Right.
And so this is not something that people can just put off or avoid doing during lockdown. So we've got a story about what people are doing for kidney dialysis during this time and how we're taking care of them.
Do we have a video?
Let's hope.
Let's see. Do we have a video on kidney dialysis? Now, you guys, we are coming to you live, so obviously there are going to be some small issues here, and it looks like I cannot find the video on kidney dialysis. So we'll keep a lookout for that and get back to you.
All right. Do you want to pull up the article? You can take a look at the man kayaking on Suzhou Creek.
Yeah, I just put it on before.
Okay. Yeah. Did you get the photo of the article there?
Let me bring that up. So let's go to the Shine website again and have a quick look. So that kayaking story was really quite fun.
Really fun. I mean, fun in the sense that it's fun to look at and kind of chuckle about. Not fun in the sense that this guy is probably going to get in serious trouble. Not fun.
To be honest, I don't.
It might have been fun for him for a minute.
Will he get in trouble? I'm not sure.
That's not for me to decide. But
I would imagine he'll probably just get a warning. You don't?
I have no idea. I can't speak to that. I have no idea what's going to happen. But all I can say is don't do this. Don't.
Yes.
It looks really fun. Might be fun for about 10 minutes until that happens.
Exactly.
And then it'll be less fun after that.
Yeah, but as you can imagine, with a partial lockdown, the other side of the Huangpu River now, of course, the Suzhou Creek connects to the Huangpu River. There's like a confluence. People naturally thought he had escaped quarantine on the other side and sailed over to Puxi, but that was not the case, which is helpful to know. But I reckon now what we'll do is we will have a look at the situation for people in old age homes in Shanghai, because that's a really important issue, like you said before.
Well, obviously,
some older people aren't yet vaccinated.
Right, that's true. The vaccination rate in Shanghai for everyone, China is vaccinated, not just Shanghai, but the vaccination rate of all of China right now is around 87%, which is a pretty high rate. But
still not enough.
Still not enough. That's of course true, but it's considerably lower among older people who are more likely to become ill or seriously ill if they.
实际上，从封闭到现在，今天是第13天了。我们全院在院内的这个员工的话呢，总共有236名。所有的员工，包括我们的护理人员、行政后勤、物资保障、膳食部门，我们全部都在院里面。各个部门来讲呢，大家的所有的工作都是非常有序的。那么最辛苦的可能是我们膳食部的这个工作人员，因为他们每一天差不多要提供这个我们全院2300多人次的这个就餐，他们的任务呢是非常非常重的。那么至于我们的所有的消杀的物资的保障、消毒的这个所有的这个消毒的用品的这一块呢，我们都做了充足的准备，可以满足当下的这个疫情防控的这个要求。另外呢，从院内的这个消杀的这个管理规定来讲，我们是根据民政部的第2版的这个疫情防控的养老机构疫情防控的指南，以及上海市民政所发布的第3版的这个要求来严格执行。然后区域当中每天2次的这个物品，所有的物品包括老人的口杯，小到老人的口杯啊、筷子啊、用具的消杀，包括区域公共环境的消杀，我们现在每天都是有序的开展。应该说这将近2-3年以来，我们都是这样有序的、有条不紊的在进行。同时的话呢，我们还一直在坚持在做的就是每日对所有助养老人和员工的在院内员工的这个健康监测。每天2次的这个体温的这个监测，那么以备我们有发现问题呢，可以及时的这个处置。封闭期间呢，我们针对院内所有的助养老人，所有的政策都不变，特别是全卧床的不能自理的这些老人，我们要求区域包括房间的护理员都要保证对这个老人能及时的跟家属的连线，最起码每个礼拜要有1次能看得到他自己的亲人。哪怕他不能言语、不能表达，但是要保证他们能彼此可以看得到。那么，这个对于我们相对来说自理程度比较高的这个爷爷奶奶呢，我们是每一天上下午我们的银发课堂都在持续进行，有各种各样的活动。当然啊，因为爷爷奶奶因为看到全院上下所有人都封在院里，他们觉得他们感觉这个安全指数已经是非常非常放心了。同时呢，我们这个对于员工来讲，因为这一次也是我们第一次遇到这样的情况，我们也在这个所有的员工的这个业余时间，开展了针对不同年龄层所适合的这个活动。年轻人喜欢玩的羽毛球啊、跳长绳啊、这个3毛球啊等等，包括我们设计了很多这个有趣的这些游戏都在进行，以保证大家以这种积极的、乐观的、有信心的这样的一个态度，给所有的助养老人提供好服务。因为这些爷爷奶奶的到来，把我们跟所有的家庭连接在了一起，跟许许多多的子女关爱连接在了一起，也跟社会的关爱连接在了一起。正是因为这么多人关心和关爱，我们呢就只能是做好我们的这个服务，让背后的这些家庭和子女对我们更加放心。那么每一个人都在这个上海的这场疫情攻坚战当中奉献出自己的力量， 我们也期待早日清零，每一个人都可以回归到正常的生活，回到我们家里面。最后呢，想给所有的家属，道一声感谢，谢谢他们对我们的理解和配合，谢谢大家。
我叫陈丽英，今年95岁。
我叫罗佩静，今年88岁。
我是叫名陆先生，我等了此地呢大概有8年5号头快了。
他们领导对我们都很关照，护理员也对我们也很好。
因为这里都是恐怕我们节目，那么组织这个活动那个活动，很多的话呀，我们过得挺过得去的，挺好的。
疫情生活嘛，我现在疫情讲嘛讲困难，疫情困难对吧？我现在生活只有比老早好了。
吃的也蛮好，对吧？那么从那个疫情已经有2年多了吧，对吧？在我们这里呢，住在这里呢，真是想蹲在那个火西巷里边，是吧？蛮好。
他们照顾得挺周到的，那么我就感觉什么，我们太享福了，工作人员太辛苦，又要看到外面的情况，配合大家的一个安排，那么又要照顾好我们，不要使得我们心慌啊，或者是太寂寞啊，他们考虑得挺周到的。
我呢，想山里做官，觉着等那个的，哎呀，天天小菜变化，我里想啥地方来呀？
我们在养老院边呢，很安全，是吧？所以家里人呢也放心。
一天讲几趟了我，那放心，我等那个搭是真的像天堂，不是疫情，我开心得不得了，那来。现在呢疫情了，那来，不好来，我也开心，那安心，我身体来这个好。那现在不来噻，视频看吧，不能看。
所以他们挺辛苦的，我感觉，请大家放心吧。那个我们这里生活比在家里要好得多，安全得多。
Wow, that's really awesome to see that they've got the situation covered there, because I know in a lot of countries there was these kind of retirement homes were sort of like a weak link in some spaces, and a lot of people got sick. So,
well, it's good to see that the folks in those particular nursing homes are doing great, and that they're happy, and that they're being taken good care of.
Right, but I do see a lot of them haven't been able to visit their family for a while.
Yeah.
But I think, health comes first. I was going to say 安全第一, but that's not 安全. 健康第一.
健康第一，安全也第一。没有第二，都是第一。Anyway, so very good. So we're happy to see that, and it's a really good thing. So we hope that they can remain healthy, and that they're going to continue. We know they're going to continue to be taken care of well during this lockdown period for the city.
Right, and I see here they are delivering hot meals. That's probably in the video as well. About 1,500 seniors homes in 8 sub-districts.
In Hongkou district in the northeastern area of downtown, of course. Yeah, that's good. And so not just obviously the nursing facilities in Hongkou, but in the entirety of the city of Shanghai are keeping up with their patients' needs to the best of their abilities, which is a lot. Great. So we're happy for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we have a comment here from Jeannie HUWFH. Obviously, that's not a real name. The info is really helpful, and thank you guys so much for your hard work. We are more than happy. Don't worry, we're getting paid for this.
We're fine. And thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your viewership.
But yeah, it is important, I think, to have this kind of live stream for people, especially from the international community here in Shanghai, because so many of us aren't that fluent in the local languages, Mandarin or Shanghainese. So these kind of English services are very, very useful. So if you do have any questions, any specific questions, do let us know. We have had 2 questions already. We don't know the full answer to, but we are going to research that and get back to you.
Absolutely.
Hey, should we switch to our reporter?
We should. So Zhu Yuting, our reporter, is she's talking about the shuttle bus, correct?
The shuttle bus,
the
right?
Airport shuttle bus. So we're going to talk to her live. She did a great video, a great story for us, talking about how the airport shuttle bus works, how to get on it if you've got a flight to leave the city, wherever you're going, whether it's domestically or internationally. The airport in Pudong, despite the lockdown in the entirety of Pudong area, the Pudong International Airport is still operating as normal. And Zhu Yuting joins us live to tell us a little bit about her experiences on that shuttle bus. Hello, how are you today? Ni hao.
Hi. Hello, guys.
Hi.
Actually, the day is kind of like fine. This morning I went to the old station, old start station of the airport line 2, and actually it has moved to somewhere else now. But we finally found the start stop of this line, so kind of lucky.
I saw you met a reader of Shanghai Daily there. That was how did it feel that you knew you're working for a place that's giving so much help to foreigners in Shanghai?
So for now there are, I think, 6 airport lines still available to get to the Pudong International Airport, and I think 5 of them, 1, 2, 4, 5, and 9 in daytime, and 1 a late night bus.
So you're saying that not. So I'm sorry. So you're saying that not all of the shuttle buses are open. Obviously, there aren't as many flights as normal, but you can still get a shuttle bus over to the airport if you need to, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
From
How much does it cost?
I think the tickets ranging from 28 yuan to 36. It depends on which line you choose, because the line is different. They have the different lines. So I think the line 2 depart from the Pu'an Road. It will cost for 28 yuan in 4 lines.
So when you actually got down to Pudong Airport, what did you see down there? Were there a lot of people there? I can't imagine that it was too crowded. Were there a lot of people there, or what was the scene like down there at the airport?
No, actually, I didn't go to the Pudong Airport because I don't have the flight tickets. Because the flight tickets is asked before you get on the bus. So we just went to the station. But actually, I went to a railway station, Shanghai railway station, and the place is quite empty there. No, because the railway station is also function normally. So, but not too many people there.
Right. I would imagine that not a lot of people are traveling in and out of Shanghai at the moment, although the option is still available if you've got to get somewhere and you need to go.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for filling us in, and hopefully we can chat with you again tomorrow or later on during the lockdown.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I used to take the bus actually to the airport when I was a student.
Yeah.
But I forgot it was this cheap. 28 yuan to 36 yuan.
Right.
I think it's about an hour. It's not even that long, and it's comfortable.
So, well, let's see. I mean, it depends on where you're taking it from, right? Because it is quite a long trip to get all the way out to Pudong Airport, right?
Right.
You can, of course, the cheapest way to get there is line 2 normally, but line 2, as we mentioned, is closed right now in Pudong, as is all public transportation in the Pudong area. As we mentioned before, if you're just tuning in, Pudong is the area east of the Huangpu River in the city of Shanghai, which is currently under a phased lockdown. All public transportation is closed in Pudong at the end, and all housing complexes are closed and businesses as well, except for essential facilities like hospitals, etc. That began on Tuesday, March 28th, and will continue until Friday, April the 1st, at which point the lockdown will switch. The Puxi area west of the river will then go into lockdown until April 5th, and Pudong will be lockdown will end.
Right, I want to show you this video I took today, Alex. This is actually the Nanjing Road pedestrian street.
Oh yeah,
look how empty it is.
Like down by the Bund?
Right. There's literally, well, obviously there are people there, but there's hardly anybody. If you know, normally there's I would say hundreds of thousands of visitors every day. Usually. And that is easily one of the most famous shopping streets in China, if not the most famous. And here you can see those buses, those annoying buses that run up and down.
Little trolleys.
Beeping all the way. They're all stopped. And here, this is the end of Nanjing East Road, just coming onto the Bund, and across there you can see the Oriental Pearl Tower, which
Right.
is in Pudong and is currently locked down.
Right, it's one of the most famous landmarks of Shanghai. So the Bund, for those of you who don't live here or are unfamiliar, also called Waitan in Chinese, the Bund is the area just on the west, on the Puxi side, just across from the Lujiazui Financial District. It's the area right on the Huangpu River, and it's a very popular tourist area, also an entertainment area, shopping district. It's one of the most popular and most frequently visited areas in the entire city and in the country. And right now, because it is on the Puxi side, the Bund is not under lockdown. But as you see in this video here from earlier today, there are not a lot of people out and about at present.
Right, and the Bund Waitan is in Shanghainese. Ngate?
I don't know. My Shanghainese is not great.
In this video now, you can see, Alex, the Apple Store, the famous Apple Store on Nanjing East Road. This, I've heard, this used to be one of the most profitable Apple stores in the world. And actually, one of the Apple head offices has a meeting room called Nanjing East Road.
Really? I did not know that.
It could be a story. I don't know.
Could be. I don't know. See that? I can imagine that that's the case. I know that. Money. That's right.
And now you're looking at Lujiazui, and that bridge there is Waipuchao. It's also a very famous bridge in Shanghai, which connects from. Actually, right there, it's crossing the Suzhou Creek.
Right. So the Suzhou Creek is not is a tributary of the Huangpu River.
Right.
The Huangpu River is the white line on the map that we showed earlier, and that is the river that divides the city into two sections. That is the axis of the current phase lockdown. Suzhou Creek is not. So you just saw a car passing over. That is not a car crossing the Huangpu River.
No, it's not. Actually,
that's shut down right now. Those bridges across that span the Huangpu are currently shut down.
Right, I think it's about 40 meters across the Huangpu River. Does that sound right? Or was that the Suzhou Creek?
No, maybe it's more like the Suzhou Creek. Huangpu River is, I think,
it's quite a distance. So yeah, that bridge you just saw there was not crossing to Pudong, as Alex said. Now we are looking at an area down nearby Nanjing Dong Road, Nanjing Donglu.
Yeah, East Nanjing Road.
You can see buses are still running. So the bus doesn't have many people on it, but they're still running.
Yeah.
Here's a famous church, actually, and unfortunately, I don't know its name. Do you?
I don't.
It's on the Suzhou Creek, a beautiful part of town. And just coming up, before we switch to our last guest, is a shot of the Shanghai postal. There we go. The old Shanghai post office, and that bridge is the Sichuan Beilu Qiao, the Sichuan North Road Bridge, which was actually the scene of quite a big battle during the liberation of Shanghai way back in 1936, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Battle for the liberation of Shanghai. So all along the Suzhou Creek there, which is part of Puxi, not under lockdown, is filled with history. So in the future, if you're not in Shanghai now, do come along and check it out yourself.
Absolutely.
Hey, should we chat with Kevin?
Sure, let's talk to Kevin. Kevin is our colleague who lives in Pudong.
Right.
But Kevin's been in lockdown, not just for the 2 days that the entire district of Pudong has been in lockdown, but Kevin's been in lockdown for, what is it now, 18, 19 days, something like this?
Hello.
Kevin, how long have you been in lockdown?
Let me count. So far, 20 days already. Yeah.
20 days?
I can't help my haircut, so I have to change my hairstyle. Yeah.
That's all right. It's a great excuse to make a change, right? Why not?
Okay.
So can you tell us why have you been locked down for 20 days?
Okay. The whole story is there was one student that tested positive in my son's school. The date is March the 11th. So after 2 days, the school locked down. We started 7 days plus 7 days family quarantine. However, after the first 7 days, our community started 2 days plus 12 days policy. And keep on repeating 2 days, 2 days, 2 days till now. So 20 days already.
So now, because Pudong is locked down fully, it really doesn't affect you much because you're already used to it. So what do you guys do during the day? Have you got a new kind of habit with you're home with your son and wife, right?
Yeah, it's a family quarantine. So my wife, my son, and me. So your question is what we do, right? So
yeah, what do you do every day?
So first of all, I cannot cook. So otherwise, I will waste the ingredients. And you know what? currently, we treat the vegetable like the luxury goods. So if I cook, I will turn the situation even worse. So I wash clothes, I wash dishes, clean the room, and do what I can do. In terms of my wife, okay, let me say that my wife is our angel. She's everything, and we count on her. She will make arrangement about our daily meal. She will cook, and also she will try to order foods and the ingredients, even order Shake Shacks for the neighborhoods. You know.
Right. So I know you're home with your son as well. I just want to ask you about your son. Obviously you said that the close contact with COVID-19 came from your son's school. So I imagine that he's been taking classes from home for quite some time now. Is that right?
Yes, my son, he right now he's taking the online class every day, and also he will just try to support some basic housework. So he can just maybe right now he can use the Teams to do the homework, and also I will help to double check about homework, and he submits the documents by himself. Yep, it's something like this.
Yeah, so I know that we have had some experience with schooling from home. Obviously, back in 2020, we had a period of time where students were going to school from home. Can you tell me some of the difficulties that you've had, or kind of what are some good things? What's a good thing about school from home, and then kind of what's one of the not as good things, if you have any opinions or ideas about it?
Let me think about that. I think to be honest, it's an opportunity to stay with the whole family, since you're with your kids for such a long period. But to be honest, it's also a big challenge. So what we do, our daily routine is something like try to organize the activity with some same age kids in our community. Well, but right now, according to the notice, we cannot go to any common area. So sometimes they can talk with some app via iPad something. Okay, Alex, your question is about any suggestion, right? The suggestion, the most important suggestion is during the lockdown with the kids, right? Yeah. Treat your wife well. Try your best. Trust me, because your wife is definitely very, very stressful, and if she gets angry, trust me, you don't want to see it. And right. Also, the last thing is do not eat too much. During this special period. Otherwise, you will just maybe try to get her angry.
That's true. Well, I think it's true. We all need to make sure that we're eating healthy during the lockdown period, and that we're not just binging on junk food and fizzy drinks and things like that. Right?
Yeah, but Kevin, I know you go to the gym a lot and you're like quite muscly. Can you still work out at home?
To be honest, I didn't do lots of workout just maybe during this period because I have no idea what will happen, and also because we cannot go to any common space, I only can do some push up or something, just maybe it's the home workout. And also, what, because I cannot eat too much, right? So if I just maybe did too much, workout, I need, more food, more protein, something like this. So, yeah. So I will just maybe try to choose, the quiet way to do that.
Well, yeah, it's glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're doing okay, that your wife is happy, and that everyone's doing fine. Sorry to hear that you've been in lockdown for so long, but we're looking forward to seeing you again when you get out of there, and once this phase lockdown is done.
Thank you so much.
Looking forward to see you guys. Yep. Bye.
We'll see you soon. All right.
See you later.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye, Kevin.
Well, that's interesting because Kevin, I know he goes to the gym like every day. Like even at work, he'll head down to the gym during lunchtime and then come back. So that must be scary when you're locked down and you can't work out.
I don't know. I'm not big of a workout. I'm not much of a workout guy, but it's good to do some push-ups and sit-ups and other sort of calisthenics and exercises at home. Don't think that, I know many of you probably are also regular gym visitors, but just because there's a lockdown doesn't mean that you can't, as you all well know, it doesn't mean that you can't get any of your workouts in, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people I've seen are watching Douyin, TikTok videos with exercises, like Kevin said, you can do at home using your own body, like push-ups, running on the spot, blah, blah, blah. So there are ways. Now, this video obviously is some footage I shot this morning, like we were looking at before. You can see the streets are a lot quieter than they normally would, even though Puxi, where we are now and where this video is not under lockdown yet.
That's true, although we will be soon. So again, as we mentioned before, make sure that you make the appropriate plans to get everything in order before the Puxi lockdown. For those of us who live in Puxi, for our viewers that are on the western side of the river, make sure to get all of your arrangements in order today and tomorrow. We know that there are still food delivery services available during lockdown, but they're going to be stretched to the limit. Technically, yes, but they're going to be stretched to the limit. There's obviously a large demand for people who are currently in Pudong lockdown.
Check out this video, Alex. Oh. They still have time to do the modeling, clothes modeling that you see normally. This guy is just about to change his top, probably taking photos for Taobao to sell clothing online. So people are still going about their daily lives as much as they can before the lockdown happens. Maybe they have a new sale coming up. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I guess he can. Well, here I see another person, a passerby coming up. You would say maybe he can avoid the problem of having passersby walk through your shot on the camera today.
That's true. A lot less people around for those.
Maybe it's shots. The ideal time to do these photo shoots right now, but we know that he won't be out there starting on Friday.
Exactly. Now I'm going to quickly show you guys again, in case you've just tuned in, a map of Shanghai, which is detailing the split COVID lockdown. We're calling it a phased lockdown. It's not the entire city. Currently, the green area, which is Pudong, east of the Huangpu River, is locked down from the 28th, 5 a.m. on the 28th until 5 a.m. on the 1st of April. And then
at 3 a.m., so there's a 2-hour period where both areas of the city will be locked down, but that's in the wee hours of the morning. 3 a.m. on April the 1st, Puxi, the area where we are, west of the river in blue on the map, will enter a 4-day lockdown. I guess a 96-hour lockdown, that would be.
My math is not good, so
that's and so the 96-hour lockdown that will last from 3 a.m. on April the 1st up through 3 a.m. on April the 5th of Beijing time.
Right. Let's take another quick look at the live view of Shanghai from the 40th floor of our office where we are now. It's really quite beautiful. You're looking towards Pudong, Lujiazui, the famous skyline that you can see in the distance, and the buildings in the foreground are here in Puxi.
Yep, so this camera is facing the Pudong area. Remember, Dong, of course, meaning east in Mandarin. And so this is from the west facing the east, where you can see the towering skyscrapers in the Lujiazui Financial Hub, which is located in Pudong, which is currently locked down. But as we mentioned before, the Shanghai Stock Exchange is still in operation. What does that mean? Well, that means that the stockbrokers and the other workers in this financial realm, in this financial sort of area, are sleeping overnight in those buildings. So we appreciate them working really hard and in order to keep the stock exchange running here.
It's busy work, but of course Shanghai is an economic powerhouse, not just for China, but also important in the state of the entire world economy. Right. So that is important. Now, I just want to say, if you're watching right now in our WeChat group, do give us a thumbs up. We want to get a higher amount. And if you do, we will come back tomorrow. No, we have to anyway.
Yes, of course.
So now we're going to try to watch our last video that I was trying to find before, which is about kidney dialysis. We didn't watch that, did we?
No.
So obviously this is one of the important medical services, I guess you could call it, that needs to happen even throughout the quarantine or the lockdown.
Right. Of course, kidney dialysis is a very important medical procedure. We talked before about how Hospitals, emergency rooms are still open for people who have serious medical situations, be they injuries, be they heart disease, or any sort of situation that would require a trip to the emergency room. Obviously, maternity wards, some maternity wards in the hospital are still open for pregnant mothers.
Right.
Now, I do want to be very clear, ambulances are also under a lot of stress right now. And so you can always call 120 to get an ambulance. But if you can't get a hold of the ambulance, or if you're unable to get one in a timely manner, make sure to call 110. That's the police, and they will also try to help you the best they can.
Right. Now, like I said before, this is a live broadcast, so we are running into some slight issues. But this video, which is about the kidney dialysis, is actually the one we've already watched.
No, this is not. No, I don't think that's it. That's okay. I'm not sure.
So we will. Hey, let's watch it tomorrow.
All right,
Yeah.
sure, why not? Anyway, so we can talk about that. But hopefully, any of you who are undergoing any sort of medical supervision or who need treatment can get that at what you need.
Exactly. So I think we'll start to wrap it up. But first, let's quickly go over the stats. Yesterday, Shanghai had. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting the video. This is live TV, you guys. Shanghai had 5,656 positive asymptomatic cases yesterday, which is the highest ever in this whole 2-year situation, and 326 symptomatic cases, which is, for a country that's aiming for zero COVID, unacceptable. That number might seem low to you, but in China, that is very high, especially for Shanghai. Like I said before, this is an all-time high in terms of cases. So this is something that has led to this staggered lockdown we're seeing now, which hopefully will flatten that out. Now, I've just received our hemoglobin.
Kidney dialysis.
Should take a month.
That's the Yangpu nursing home video.
Someone sending me.
All right, we'll see if we can get to that video. If we can't get to it today, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, to talk about some other happenings in the city.
I have got. I'm not going to jump to
That's all right.
I have the video.
We'll talk about it.
I guess.
You got it?
No, this is.
It's fine.
Yeah,
So I do want to point out, I see a comment here. Someone has said that people can't get food supplies, and let's not pretend life is absolutely normal. No one is saying that life is absolutely normal. I want to be perfectly clear about that. We understand. Obviously, we're going through a lockdown, and half of the city is shut down.
Right.
It would be insane to say that this is absolutely normal. But what we are trying to do is give you the situation at hand. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, right now during lockdown, people are stretched very thin. It's tough to get food. Make sure those of you in Puxi make the appropriate preparations. We know that there are still delivery people out and about. We know that several supermarkets and other food distribution places are open, but they're stretched to the limit, and in some cases beyond the limit. And so you need to make sure that you make the proper preparations and that you do the best you can.
Exactly. This is a very abnormal situation we're under right now. And Shanghai has never been locked down. Like we said before, this is the first lockdown in Shanghai. So yeah, it's unique circumstances. And if you do have any issues yourself, if you're having trouble ordering food or anything like that, what you can do is call 12345 and they will help you out. Even if you can't speak Mandarin or Shanghainese, you can call them French, English, Russian, Korean, Japanese. So do call that number. Obviously, no one is going to be left without food. People will do their best to help you out. You can also contact your Jiuweihui, your community, what's it called in English? Community committee.
Yes. Community housing committee? Something
yes.
like that.
There are a lot of people to help you out. So I do want to say, I did see that comment, and a lot of people are frustrated. They're frustrated. It's not fun to be locked down. So I think it's also important to try and sift the, normal frustrations. For example, I can't get my strawberry ice cream that I want to eat. It's a bit different than not having food at all. So there are a lot of also that kind of situation where people are peed off and venting online. That is normal, and that is what we expect to see. If you have any other questions as well, do not hesitate to fire them through. Also, you could email us. My email address is andyborham@qq.com. Can anyone email you or no?
Not at the moment. I'll get that up and running tomorrow. Send them to Andy first, all right?
Do send us any questions you have, because we do want to try and answer them. Now, one of the questions was, what will happen to children if they test positive, will they be separated from their parents? We're looking into that.
We'll get back to you tomorrow with that information.
Another one is animals. What happens with your animals at home when they need to be fed if you test positive and need to go into quarantine?
Yeah, to be honest, I've heard different things from different people, and we don't know what at this moment is the exact situation as far as that goes. So we're looking into that, but I don't want to misspeak and cause anyone to have the wrong idea or the wrong opinion about what may or may not happen. We're both pet owners. You've got 2 cats.
Well, I'm owned by 2 cats.
Right. Same exact situation for me as well. And so we want to be very clear and concise and precise with our information about that. We know people have asked that question, and we hope to get back to you tomorrow or as soon as possible with that information.
Right. And we have another comment here, just one more comment. She says, you guys do a really good job introducing first-hand information to people. We're trying our best. Obviously, when we run into issues with questions we can't answer, we'll do our best to get back to you. Now, we are going to say goodbye, I reckon.
All right. Yeah.
We will see you again same time tomorrow. We're aiming for 7 p.m., but that could change. So just keep an eye on our socials.
That's right. And so we will talk to you then. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you again tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Look after yourself, you guys. See you later.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.